What if your past isn't finished with you? What if you hold the power to rewrite it and in doing so reshape your entire future? What if everything you believe about time is backwards? In 1954, Neville stood and taught something so powerful he called it dangerous, a technique that rewrites your past, thus causing your future to obey your inner desires. Neville proved that once you change the past, the future has no choice but to follow. This isn't visualization, it's retroactive reality. By the end of this video, you'll know the tool Neville gave the world to collapse timelines and force reality to obey. You've heard it 1,000 times. The past is behind you. Let it go. Move on. But what if that's a lie? What if your past isn't done with you yet? Think of just one moment from this week that still sits in your chest. Hold it lightly. We'll return to it because Neville discovered something that should unsettle you. He said, "The past is not behind you, it is ahead of you, advancing into your future to confront you again and again until you change it." You've likely noticed this yourself. A situation you thought you'd moved past keeps showing up in a new form. Your past didn't disappear, it's still growing, and what you ignore keeps taking root. Neville's warning was stark. An unrevised past doesn't fade, it returns. The same root will always produce the same fruit, just in a different season. Uncut memories grow back as patterns. Same root, new disguise. Most people try to plant new seeds in a garden overrun with old weeds. That's why nothing changes. Neville didn't teach you to ignore the past. He revealed a special technique to edit it. He called this tool revision, and he gave it a physical name, the pruning shears of revision. Not affirmations, not pretending, reality editing, changing the timeline. You are entangled with every version of yourself that ever lived and every version you could become. The method Neville revealed, revision, isn't mindset, it's quantum alignment. You're not just changing the past, you're collapsing the version of reality that memory was feeding. Every time you use this technique, you send a new signal through time, a new trajectory, a new timeline. Neville called it the pruning shears of revision. It allows you to change the future by editing the past. You don't wait for your future to change. You go back and give it a new foundation. Change the signal in the past, and the future has no choice but to obey. With Neville's pruning shears of revision, he discovered something that shouldn't be possible. A simple nightly act that lets you reach backward in time and reroute what tomorrow becomes. Not wishful thinking, not mental gymnastics, a direct override of the timeline. I firmly believe that if you will wisely and daily use the pruning shears of revision, you will find there is no objective beyond your ability to realize tonight. Do not let the sun descend upon any vexation of the day. Don't deny it. Don't duck it. Look at it, that you may prune it and reshape it. For the day is not slipping into the past. It is always advancing into the future to confront you, either pruned or in some strange weed-like state. At the end of my day, I review the day. I don't judge it. I simply review it. I look over all the events, the conversations, and then as I see it clearly in my mind's eye, I rewrite it scene after scene. I revise it, and I relive the revised day over and over until the imagined version takes on the tones of reality. I do this because I know from experience these revised days, once lived, will change my tomorrows. Now you're going to see what the pruning shears of revision actually look like in the real world. Not theory, not metaphor. One man took Neville's method and used the pruning shears like a tool of precision. 3 days, that's all it took to replace one reality with another. He owned land he couldn't sell. Month after month, it drained him. No buyers, no movement. He wrote to an agent. The reply, "Market's flat. Don't expect anything until next year." But that night, he used the shears. He took the memory of that letter and pruned it. He envisioned the same envelope, same handwriting, but he snipped the old sentence and grafted in the new. He didn't just picture it, he felt the snap of the cut. Let the graft take hold in his nervous system like fact. Then he built the end, the office, the handshake. Pleasure doing business with you. He felt the grip, heard the words, relief hit, while the rejection still sat on his desk. 3 days later, he got the call. Full asking price. Buyer ready. Deal closed. Same handshake, same words, exactly as he had revised it. That's not magic. That's revision. He didn't beg the world to change. He revised what the world had to reflect. But Neville taught something even stranger. The pruning shears aren't only for your own past. You can prune someone else's too. I bring him before my mind's eye, and I congratulate him on his good fortune, because he is now gainfully employed. I do not see a man unemployed. I see him employed. I have pruned him from the unemployed state and reshaped the branch that grows in the garden of God. Tomorrow, people will see him as they could not have seen him before, the pruning that took place within me. Everyone you meet is a branch on your vine. If it grows in your mind, you can prune it. And when the gardener changes the cause, the world in time shows the effect. Most people stop here. Neville didn't. Here is Neville's own warning about the very power of the pruning technique. The past does not recede as people think. It is always advancing into the future to confront you, either pruned or in some strange weed-like state. You are now in the Garden of Eden, and the garden is your mind. You have slept, and having slept, weeds have appeared. The weeds are revealing themselves by the conditions of your life. For your garden is always projecting itself on the screen of space. But you have a mission, a purpose. You've been selected to become the chief gardener in the garden of God. And in the garden, you must have pruning shears. This wonderful imagination of yours is Christ Jesus. It is the actual habitation of every created thing. No matter what you see in the world, it springs from your imagination. So that's where you go. That's the workshop, the garden of God. If you do not prune it daily, you will get out of the habit. Then weeds will grow. Here's what Neville taught. Every night before sleep, tend your garden, not with hope, with shears. Pull the day into your mind's eye, scene by scene. Find what you don't want there, and then prune it with the shears of revision. Rewrite it, replant it, replay the new version in full detail, not as a spectator, but as the one living it. Feel the words land, see the door open, step into the new outcome until it blooms inside you like memory. Do not stop at thinking positive. That's throwing seeds onto weeds. This is root work. You're not trimming leaves, you're tearing out the cause and planting something else. But there's a deeper layer Neville taught. Miss this, and you'll keep pulling the same weeds forever. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch of mine that bears no fruit, he prunes that it may bear more fruit. Your imagination creates everything in your life. Every thought is a branch. Every assumption bears fruit, wanted or unwanted. A voice that appears in your head, I always get rejected. Nothing works for me. People like me don't get that. That's a branch, and it's bearing rotten fruit every time you think it. Prune it. Our present mental conversations do not recede into the past. They advance into the future to confront us. A man's mental conversations attract his life. As long as there is no change in his inner talking, the personal history of the man remains the same. To attempt to change the world before we change our inner talking is to struggle against the very nature of things. Pruning is revision, a radical change in what you say to yourself and about what's possible. You've been growing things your whole life. The question is, have you been pruning? I have found from experience that these revised days, if really lived, will change my tomorrows. When I meet people tomorrow that today disappointed me, they will not tomorrow. For in me, I have changed the very nature of that being. And having changed him, he bears witness tomorrow of the change that took place within me. Changing your life means changing the past. The causes of any present evil are the unrevised scenes of the past. Neuroscience calls this memory reconsolidation. When you recall a memory, your brain doesn't play a recording. It rebuilds the event from scratch in real time. That means every time you remember the past, you have a window to rewrite it. and whatever version you feel most becomes the one your brain stores. But it goes deeper. You're not just rewriting memory, you're doing something that breaks the timeline. Quantum physics has a name for it: retrocausality, the idea that the future can influence the past, that time doesn't move in a straight line, it loops. When you practice Neville's shears of revision, you're not imagining, you're editing reality at the source. You're reaching backward and editing what the future is built on. You revise the past and the future bends to match. But here's what makes the pruning shears true. Here is what makes the pruning shears truly powerful and why most people never unlock their full power. They stand in a ruined garden staring at the rotten fruit, desperately trying to paint the apples red. They argue with the weeds. They plead with the thorns. Neville didn't teach you to argue with the harvest. He taught you to own the soil it grows from, to prune the weed and plant the seed. I firmly believe that if you will wisely and daily use the pruning shears of revision, you will find there is no objective beyond your ability to realize. Each night, before the day hardens into memory, you're handed the shears of revision to cut, to reshape, to replace what was planted with what should have been. Because what you don't revise repeats. It marches into your future wearing a new face, still echoing, still growing, still bearing fruit. But the moment you use those shears, truly use them, you replace the cause, and the world like a mirror adjusts to reflect the new seed. You're not editing reality's output, you're rewriting the code it runs on. You don't shift circumstances, you change the script that births them, and that script is written in you. Revision clears the ground. What grows on fresh soil? That itch for more isn't random. Neville declared, it's the blueprint. Look upon your desires as the spoken words of God, the prophecy of what you're capable of being. Because creation is finished. What you desire already exists. What you want is only the memory of what you've already been and are destined to express. That itch for more, that life you almost taste, it's not fantasy, it's memory. It's memory, a signal from your future self reaching back. Revision clears the weeds. Desire plants the tree. You don't just edit what was, you remember what is in the future where you've already won. Fall asleep, not just pruning the past, but breathing in the future's air. Here's where most people blow it. They do the revision, they cut the weed, they plant the new scene, and then the next morning they dig it back up. How's this going to happen? When will I see proof? That's doubt. That's you yanking out what you just planted. Stop. Your job is to revise. Your job is to plant. How it grows. That's what Neville called the bridge of incidents. I go to the end and start in the end. Then, in a way that I do not know and need not consciously devise, I move across a bridge of incidents, a series of events leading from where I am now to the fulfillment of that end. And no power in the world can stop it. You prune, you plant. You walk away. Let it take root in the dark where your doubt can't reach it. But Neville gave a serious warning, and you need to hear this. This is no small caution. This is the hinge on which everything turns, because your mind is the garden of God, and you are the gardener. Every night you skip the pruning shears of revision. You are not taking a night off. You are actively voting for the old reality. You are watering the very weed you want to get rid of. The condition of your garden shows itself out there in the world you see. Every weed you leave uncut is a future confrontation you have already agreed to. Remember, every night you skip revision, you aren't pausing the process, you're magnifying the wrong reality. One weed becomes two, two become 10, 10 become a life you didn't intend, a prison with no locks, just overgrowth so thick you forget there was ever a gate. This method works only if you work it. Skip the pruning, and the past will rewrite you. You plant the same doubt, run the same outdated script, water what you don't want. So here's your first assignment with the shears, the 3-night pruning challenge. 3 nights. That's all. Each night before sleep, take one moment from your day, the one that stung. Rewrite it. Feel it until your body forgets it was ever otherwise. then let it go. Because here's what I know about you. You've been carrying things you were never meant to carry, memories that should have been pruned years ago, patterns you inherited, stories you didn't write but kept living anyway. You will never be defeated by what happened to you. You will be defeated by what you keep telling yourself about it. What would your life be like if you decided to stop replaying the old story? Do not let the sun set on today's vexation. Do not drag that same old mess into another day. You are the editor. You are the gardener. You have always been the one holding the shears. By revising the past, you rid yourself of any effect it may have on your future. Don't let it continue growing weeds in your world. You are absolutely responsible for every being you meet in this world. That's your responsibility. An awakened imagination works with a purpose. It creates and conserves the desirable and transforms or destroys the undesirable. The present moment does not recede into the past, it advances into the future. Tonight, take up the shears. Your garden and your future waits for no one but you. Subscribe to Stories and Quotes B